Hello and welcome to HID All Access, a podcast focusing on physical access control systems. What are the trends, what are the drivers, and what are the benefits? Today we're going to be chatting about the licensing and cost benefits of mobile credentials. What are the real costs? My expert advisors once again are Sanjit Bardhan, Phil Coppola, and Jason Schimpf. The question always comes up around mobile, around how does it work from a commercial perspective? You know, do I buy it once? Is it licensed? What can you guys share in this space around licensing costs and how we can talk that through to the end user?
Yeah, I'll let the teams chime in as well, but I can say, as with pretty much everything in the world today, everyone's moving towards subscription. So at HID we have subscription models available for various users of the mobile solution. So depending on how you want to use your mobile solution in your asset, for your organization, for your employees, we have varying tier levels. So it's a subscription-based model. We've got activation-based subscription models as well, which basically means you can buy a block of licenses, and then you get charged only when you activate those licenses. And that's very common, especially after the post-pandemic times where work from home or the hybrid work culture became a reality. You'd have people coming in a few days a week, or sometimes they would work off remote offices or actually in the property. So it's all based on activation, and we have a very flexible plan.
You know, it's really interesting because some of the pushback that I receive when I'm talking to folks about transitioning to mobile credentials is this whole concern around, well, I know what the cost of a plastic card is, right? It's somewhere between $3 and $5, maybe $10, depending on the complexity of the card. And now you're pushing me into this subscription model that's going to, of course, be more expensive over time. And where I have to challenge that statement is, have you considered all of the costs associated, right? The $3 to $5 to $10 just for the card is only one piece of the conversation. Yep. What about the provisioning time that you're spending, right? We find that the industry average is somewhere around 12 minutes. And then we look at the type of person that is provisioning those credentials. These are not, minimum wage employees. They're technical, they're skilled employees, so they're being paid a higher than average wage. And then, of course, when we talk about the carbon footprint, there's office space associated with it. What's the cost of this per square foot? And what you come out with is a total credential cost of somewhere between $25 and $50. Yeah, wow. And when folks think about that, they go, A, yes, that's true. B, what's the subscription cost again? Because yes. Ultimately, then this is a cost savings, because let's also realize you don't buy a card once. If you bought a card once, that would be the ideal utopian society. But the reality is people are fallible. We lose things all the time. And unlike a phone, which, by the way, if I lost, I have all sorts of methods to turn it off and to track it and to find it. If I drop my card in the parking lot or if I forget it at home, no big deal, right? That's what a lot of folks might say. And so now you're churning through cards and you're constantly having to reorder and then re-provision, and what's the cost associated with that? Whereas one simple subscription solves that whole problem.
And I think you raise a good point there as well. Depending on the workforce, a lot of industries have transient employees. Do you know what I mean? They're short-term employees, they're contractors. Visitors are a big thing these days. How do we manage the visitors and how they go throughout our facilities and buildings? So can you share any insights into that side of things as well?
You got so many remote employees, and if they're coming to an office or to a remote location, they only are going to be there for a month, 2 months, or 3 months. So going back to the activate billing that Sanjit was talking about before, they can put in a request through maybe their technology partner, the apps that they're using, the workplace app, saying, hey, I'm going to be in New York, or I'm going to be in London, or I'll be in Australia for just the week or the month or the 2 months. And then you can provision it right there through the app. Right there, be done with it. They've got it in their card, and they're only being charged for those 2 months. The user experience there is so easy. Then when they're done, you just say, okay, I'm done, and it can automatically be taken out, and you're not charged for it anymore.
And to take that a step further, when we look at some of our technology partners and what they offer and that experience beyond the plastic card, with work from home, a lot of enterprises have moved to like a hoteling style model where you don't have an office, you don't even have an assigned desk. You go to your app and you say, I'm going to be in the office on Tuesday. You're still not guaranteed a spot, a dedicated spot, until you credential in. You use your phone, you credential in, and then it applies your desk number. And then when we talk about that use case, what else does that enable? Well, we have technology partners that build locker systems. Yep. And so during that stay, you can now bring your phone to the locker. It will unlock a specific door for you. You can drop your stuff in there, go to your desk, have your work day, and then if you've made a schedule, right, I'm going to be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that locker is yours for that amount of time. Again, if you think about that process and what it would mean to do that in the traditional access control world, you're talking about all kinds of rules and provisioning processes and people scratching their heads saying, how the heck am I going to do that? Whereas with a technology partner utilizing a mobile credential, that problem is solved like day one.
By the way, mobile access to HID is not new. We've had it since 2014, so it's almost a decade old. So we've had customers as of today, we have customers in over 110 countries enjoying the benefits of mobile access. We have close to 7,000 end users that are using our mobile solutions. And many of our customers have started using mobile like 5-7 years ago. And they are seeing the benefits of that already. And that's the reason why they don't want to go back to plastic.
Yeah, I think one of the difference now that we have too is the tools to be able to illustrate this. Before it was, how much does a mobile license or credential cost, how much does a card cost? And it was a very binary sort of analysis. Fast forward, since 2014, we now have the financial modelling tools to be able to better articulate that to end users, CFOs. So it's not an assumption; it's a data-driven decision.
And again, from an end user perspective, there was a period of time where security fell under the facilities responsibility. Then it moved on to the IT department's responsibility. Then it moved on to a dedicated security department's responsibility. And as of today, it's going back to security and IT.
Yep.
So if you've got security and IT stakeholders in an organization, IT questions security, well, by the way, using subscription, this is how much further we can save. Have you considered that? So there's more insights coming in, data-driven decision making, even from an end user perspective, not only from our side.
That's a really good point. It makes me think of another metric, which is $4 million, which is the average cost to an organization in the United States that results from a data breach. Now, when we talk about the convergence of the security department and the IT department, IT is deathly concerned about your passwords, right? And changing your passwords. In fact, HID is pestering me. I have to change my password in the next 4 days or I'll get completely locked out of my laptop. All for the right reasons. And so when the IT department gets involved and they say, oh, we can transition from this piece of plastic that people are going to lose and put my data centers in a state of constant vulnerability to a mobile credential that is far less likely to be lost and can be remotely deactivated by the user. The user doesn't even have to tell me that they lost their card. Because what's the metric around the time it takes for someone to report that their card was lost, stolen, or misplaced? Honestly, the metric doesn't exist. There's no reporting on this, but sure. It's completely up to the individual. Whereas if I lose my phone, you're darn tootin', I'm going to iCloud and I'm deactivating that phone, which automatically deprovisions my pass.
No, we have some metrics. We do have some metrics, and I don't think it's been as granular as to finding out how many people actually lost their cards, but we do have a metric on plastic. Today, on an average, our end users churn every individual plastic card once every 2.5 years. And that cost is never considered in a cost calculation.
One of the key things I think we do at HID really well is that we've got the staff and the support and the experience that we've been doing this for so long that we can hold people's hands. Whether you're talking to an IT person, you're talking to a security person, or you're talking to facilities, we've got the expertise that we can go there and say, hey, let's take a look at your entire system. We've put it in the calculator you mentioned before, and we can then walk them through, here's what your total outcome is going to be, here's your CapEx as you were spending before, and here's how it's going into OpEx. Makes that conversation super easy, and we can help you guys with that conversation internally.
Thanks to our expert advisors, Sanjit Bardhan, Phil Coppola, and Jason Schimpf. If you'd like to get one of our experts to advise you on your physical access control system, please visit hrdglobal.com. We'd be happy to give you a no obligations consultation to help you on the road to modernizing your access control. I'm Troy Johnston, and this has been the HID All Access podcast.